Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how you can make adjustments to images. Before I start with this video, I think it's important to make sure that you understand that these adjustments that you make to your images are all going to be dependent on how your individual images look like. So there is not going to be a one-size-fits-all approach that will work with any image. Every image is different in terms of things like the content of the image, in terms of the lighting you've used, in terms of the colours, in terms of the costumes, the purpose, etc, etc, etc. So all I can do is show you how to access all the different options that are available to you, rather than actually, showing you which tools will work best for you. A lot of your use of these image adjustments is going to be down to things like trial and error. It's going to be trying something, seeing what works, what doesn't work, multiple different, experiments and trials and messing around with different options, different combinations as well. So just bear that in mind. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to manipulating images in Photoshop. It's all down to your own preferences. Okay, so all I'm going to do is show you how you can use these sorts of image adjustments to your images on Photoshop. Now again, one of the things that the exam brief has asked you in the past is to show that you have manipulated or adjusted your images in some way. They do not need to be ridiculously over the top adjustments. They can be ones that are really subtle, but what's important is showing how you did it and also understanding why you did it as well. So it's really simple. With your photo loaded up on Photoshop, you're going to choose this little option here with the circle that's half black and half white, and you've got all these different options here of what sort of things you can do to your photographs to manipulate them. So you've got things like really simple ones like changing your image to black and white if you want to, and there are a few more little options that you can choose as well to make further adjustments to the images. And you can see there what it's done is it has added that black and white effect there as a layer on Photoshop, so you can see it there. If you suddenly change your mind and you don't like this effect that you've put on there, all you need to do is make sure you click on the layer and press delete. I'm going to do that again because that didn't work, and press delete. There we go. And you can see there it deleted the black and white effect on there. So this is the same for any of the more complicated layers that you might want to try. So things like, let's look at the saturation. So if we increase the saturation there, it's going to bring out the colours a bit more. Reduce the saturation, going to make it a little bit more washed out. But the same principle is the same thing there. It's added it as a layer underneath it. So that's how you add adjustments. If I was to add a second one on there as well, so let's go for brightness and contrast, you can see that these adjustments will work together and they will all combine together to make the effect that it is you're going for. So that's why experimenting is really important for this stuff. But like I said, there is no way of having one particular kind of setting that will work for any image because they are all different. What you need to understand is why you might need to make adjustments to the images that you have and understand why you want to make those adjustments. So let's say, for example, I might have this image. I might look at it and think, okay, well, maybe I want the colours to be a little bit more washed out. So I can go to my options, go to saturation and reduce it. Right? But that's me making that choice to do that. Someone else might think, you know what, I want more colour and whack the saturation up a little bit. Not too much because that looks absolutely mental. But you can see there, it's down to your own personal choice. Alright, your manipulations can be really subtle. They might, you might even want to make them a bit more obvious and in your face, like do something really radical like completely mess around with the hue and give it a sort of, I don't know, Shrek-like effect or a Hulk effect if you wanted to. But again, it's completely up to you what you want to do. One thing to bear in mind though is because these are added as layers, I'm going to get rid of that one because it's annoying me. Because these are added as layers, if I was to add another image on there, let's just put this Rick Astley picture on there because, you know, that's what I do. You can see if I move that down, it's going to add the same effect to the picture, to any other picture you add on there as well. So what you want to make sure is that if you have multiple layers on there, make sure that any effects that you have are above the option that you want to, the layer that you want to apply these effects to. Otherwise, it's going to add it to multiple layers. What you can also do as well, to make things even easier for you, if you only want this this adjustment to apply to one layer, you could just simply create a clipping mask like that, and that way this hue and saturation effect is only going to happen to the background layer. Even if, let's tell you what, let's add a bit of a let's add a black and white one there just to show you what I mean a bit more. So I want black and white on there. So if I have Rick Astley underneath there, you can see the black and white has also applied to him as well. But if I don't want that, if I want this image in black and white but that one in colour still, I can right click, go to create clipping mask, and then you can see there if I hide that image, he is now in colour. So that's something useful to have as well. Alternatively, if you want to, this is a bit more, this is not a safe way of doing things though. If you want to just make adjustments to this one layer, you can go to image adjustments and you can change your adjustments up here as well. I wouldn't recommend doing that though, because if I, let's say, increase the brightness, you can see here that it doesn't add it as a layer. Okay, it just directly affects the layer. And if I go back to undo that, you can see it's reset. So the only thing I can do is to undo it. So I wouldn't recommend doing it this way. I would always recommend using this option at the bottom instead. But like I said, this is much more down to your own personal preferences and what you would like to do and what sort of images you get. So it's best to just spend a little bit of time just trying out different things and seeing what works best. I wouldn't recommend going absolutely over the top with any adjustments, but just try things, see what works, what doesn't work. Alternatively as well, what you can do is you can also adjust the blending mode as well. So let's say, let me put a weird pink hue on there, that's quite cool. You can also change the blend mode as well to change different ways how that effect interacts with the photograph. So sometimes these can look quite cool as well if you wanted to do something like that. But again, perfectly up to you, down to your own choices, down to your own ideas. This is a bit more complicated because it's not really one that I can show you, lots to do, because like I said, it is down to your own ideas, okay? Any problems, any questions, you know where I am. Send me an email, come and see me. Other than that, I'll catch you next time. TRC Media